Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm here to talk about why investing in this ETF is the best ETF, and at the same time how to get rich in the stock market, because it is very easy. It's literally just about consistency, which is harder than it sounds, and then also just having that steady, your income outweigh your expenses. You want to be profiting and then be able to put that profit into investing. So without getting too much into it right now, if you guys do enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate the support, and let's get right into the video. So as you can see here, full transparency, this is my portfolio where I have single stocks. This is my portfolio where I'm holding, I'm picking stocks. I'm kind of having a little bit of fun with investing per se. Not my portfolio where I'm taking things completely seriously and going into retirement mode. That portfolio is where I hold this ETF. So just as a baseline first, I want to talk about SPY. This is the S&P 500 essentially. As we can see right here, this ETF returns on average since inception 10.69%. Very good, very impressive for this ETF. If you made 10% a year on all your money and then that compounded, you'd have a lot of money if you invested all of it. We see the expense ratio for this one, which is something important to look at when investing into ETFs, is 0.09. That means that 0.09% of the money you're making goes to this ETF. You do not make that money. So sounds like nothing, pretty much is nothing, but it does add up over time. So keep that in mind. A popular ETF that I'd suggest to invest into a new investor instead of SPY is VOO. VOO is pretty much the same thing as SPY. It's a little heavier technology based, as we see right here. It's a little differently, construed, with these different sectors weighing a little bit heavier, but not that big of a difference. And the expense ratio is 0.03. So one of, if not the lowest expense ratio ETF in the market, and then just one that's performed very well since inception, better than SPY. So I mean, it's also been around for less time, but at the same time, we do see that it has performed better than SPY. But my personal ETF, what you guys have been waiting for, is SCHG. This is my favorite ETF because you go down here, since 2009, it has returned 16.77% returns, and that's compounding annually. Okay. That's insane. So let's say this is a very, very useful tool right here. This is an investment calculator. This is literally just calculator.net slash, investment dash calculator.html. Very simple to find. So it starts you out with these base numbers, which are not, relative to what we're doing. So I'm going to go with the base case that you have $1,000. You're able to scrape up $1,000, whether it's, from saving up for a little bit, or you have some money laying around, you take $1,000 of it. I think you can probably scrape that up. And let's just go complete base case. Let's say that you are, I don't know, 30 years old and you want to retire when you're 65. That's just me taking a random number. So you have 35 years, because you only really want to touch your investing money when you retire. Or, if you want to make a big purchase and you've been saving for a while and you're going to continue investing after that purchase. So we saw that the compounding annual growth rate that we got for this was 16.77%. So we take that 16.77, and then we're going to say that additionally every single month we're going to contribute, I don't know, let's say $100, nothing crazy. Okay. So at the beginning of every month, we put in $100. It's a pretty base case. This is something that a lot of people can do. A lot of people can afford to put $100 a month into the stock market. We see that if you did this, you'd have pretty much $2 million by the time you're retired. And that's just in 35 years. Time is very much on your side with this, as well as investing more, obviously. So let's say we bump this up to 200, we double it, which, adding $100 more doesn't feel like a lot. It's a little bit more. That 2 million turns into almost 4 million. So you see how much that, has an impact on it. And then, as you start scaling this, let's say you invest $1,000 a month, that's when things start getting crazy. But the thing that makes it even crazier is, remember that this was our base case. This is going to get confusing, but we have $100 as our base case. You're making 2 million. But let's say you have 10 more years. So not a lot of time, but a good amount of time. I mean, that is a lot of time, 10 years. So we take that 1.9 turns into 9.4. Just from 10 more years. Now let's say you have 10 more years. I mean, obviously you're not going to start investing when you're 10. Maybe you are. Maybe you're 10 years old. Please invest in, an ETF right now. Your future self is going to thank you immensely if you do that. But let's see this, 55 years, we have 44 million. So that's when things start to get pretty crazy. But I'd say that's a pretty, base case. And then I actually wanted to take the average U.S. income. The average annual average salary in the U.S. is $66,622. So not very deep right there. We have $66,000. We'll say, after taxes, we're bringing home around, I don't know, maybe 55,000. And then you can take, if you're making $55,000 a year, we'll make it simple. Let's call it 60,000. So you're making $5,000 a month. If you're making $5,000 a month, you can afford to invest $500. And if you can't, you need to lower your expenses. That's 10% of your income that should be going towards retirement anyway. So we're going to say that you can afford to do this, 500. Let's say you're making the average salary for your whole career, which you start when, I don't know, let's say you start the career when you're 25, you want to retire when you're 65. This gives you 40 years. This sets you up pretty nicely. This is something that's hard to ignore. You'd have $20 million when you retire just from investing 10% of your income your whole career. It's really that simple. There's a lot of people that didn't do this and they pay for it. I mean, you're not going to have the nice things that people that did invest are going to have. And yes, it's a sacrifice. Investing $500 a month is definitely a sacrifice. Don't get me wrong. You're missing out on some money. You're missing out. Maybe you can't go out to eat one night. You're not able to go on that trip with your friends. But you don't always have to do that. I mean, if you're actually putting 10% aside every single month and you want to dip into it and take out 2,000, 10 years in, it's not going to kill you. Okay. And then you can always, go back on it, like maybe save up a little bit more or work some, extra hours doing DoorDash or something, just complete random example. You can make that back. So it's not that big of a deal. You should be strict, especially in the beginning, but once you do build up that cushion, you have room for a little bit more leeway. So I want to show how important it is to invest in the right asset as well. So time again is going to make this more skewed. So the longer that you're investing for, the more up and down the percentage is going to change, in relation. But if you're investing for a short amount of time, the percentage change isn't going to do a lot. So I wanted to look at the average stock market return. This is just the average stock market return, what the stock market as a whole is returning. So on average, it's 10% annually. So if we bring that 16.77% down to 10%, we see that this 19.6 million turns into 2.8 million. Huge difference. Almost a tenth of what it was before. So that really goes to show that investing in the right asset is very important. If you don't do that, then a lot of bad things can happen. I mean, not a lot of bad things. You're still going to make money, but a lot of money is left on the table. So you do want to really be sure that you are investing in the right thing. That's one of the most important aspects when it comes to investing, is making sure that you are capitalizing on that return. And something that I always like to show in these videos, I usually like to make one of these videos, every so often, because I make a lot of videos about investing in a single stock, which is fun. It's fun to invest in single stocks. So, you can maybe get it right, maybe make a little bit of money here and there, get to pat yourself on the back and say, oh, I picked the right stock, things like that. But this is how you're going to make consistent gains, consistent income, is with this. You're really going to make a lot of money with this. This is how you're going to do it. So, I mean, this is an example that I love to show too, is let's say you start with $0. You just had a kid, you have $0, you cannot afford to, invest anything, but you say, you know what, I want my kid to have a great future. We're going to take the low side, we're going to do 10%, and we're going to say that we can afford to invest $100 a month. Assuming that this isn't even 10% of your income, this is, 2% of your income a month, which you can afford to put aside for your kid. Your kid would have $57,000 when they turn 18. That's starting from $0 and investing $100 a month. $57,000. That's enough to go to college pretty much anywhere, as long as it's not a private school out of state. That's pretty good. I mean, you're setting your kid up very well. And let's say that you do actually go into SCHG besides this, and you get that 16.77% return. We see it doubles, like how it always does. But then, I mean, just like same thing again. Let's say you start with $1,000, you scrape that together at the beginning. It does make that difference. You see it's $135,000 now. And then you see your additional contribution. Let's say instead of 100, you do 200. Your kid's going to have a little bit more money to play with. They're going to, let's say that the kid continues investing this money and putting this $200 in. He gets a part-time job and is investing a lot of money throughout college, and then he continues doing that after college. By the time he retires, just from $200 a month, I mean, it's like not even a real number, because no one has ever been that consistent. So no one knows anyone that has gotten this much money off of investing this little bit of money, because no one's ever had consistency like that. And time is really on your side. So, I mean, this goes to show too, this is how Warren Buffett is so successful, because his compounding interest is compounding on top of compounding on top of compounding. So Like if you're, for example, if you're 20 years old, and like this graph, if you're 20 years old and you want to retire when you're 65, that's 45 years. Let's say you're putting in $100, every single month. You'd have 9.4 million. That's great. Let's say you want to retire when you're 80, which is risky business. You don't know if you're going to make it to 80, but let's say you're 20, you want to retire when you're 80. That 9.4 turns into $96 million. $96 million. So that goes to show money makes money. Because, I mean, we can also say that you just have a lot of money. Like, what if you start with $100,000 instead? Because I'm not a million. $100,000 instead, because some people just have money laying around. So let's say you're 25 with $100,000. You want to retire when you're 65. We see that when you retire, you would have somewhere around $53 million. So it really is, more money makes money in the stock market, but also you're never going to get to that more money spot if you have that mindset. You need to know that, I mean, you can invest as little as $100 a month. You can put in $10 a month. You can start with zero. Like, look at this right here. You can start with zero and put in $10 a month from when you're 25 to when you're 65, and you'd have $383,000 for retirement. And you can afford to put in more than $10 a month. Like, you can at least put $20 a month, which isn't even that much. And you'd have $700K when you retire. So, I mean, that's just some food for thought. You can literally put $20 aside, because I see a lot of people delay investing forever because they think they don't have enough money. And I get that, because shares are expensive. Because you look at the S&P 500 and you're saying, oh my gosh, just for one share of this company, it's 600, or not company, but just for one share of this ETF, it's $600. And I totally understand that. I get where you're coming from with that. That's how I felt in the beginning too. But you got to just start chipping away at that, because this $20 is $240 a year. And then, as you can see, that adds up all the way to over $700,000 by the time you retire. So that's all I have for today's video, guys. I did just want to talk about this ETF, because I feel like I would be doing everyone a disservice to not talk about how great this ETF is and how much money you can make. Because time, like I said, is really on your side, and you cannot time this. I just want to say again, time in the stock market heavily outweighs timing the stock market. So please do not try to time this. Just invest, dollar cost average down, dollar cost average up. Do not try to time the stock market, especially ETF. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to show your support with either liking the video or subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching again. I make daily content, videos just like this. I talk about a lot of stocks, dive deep into their financials, what the business is actually offering, and talk a little bit about that. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.